Welcome to Chapter 7 of Millennial Man. It is called Freedom. As you can see, I ride around and support freedom every day, without fear, without shame. Chapter 7, Freedom. Freedom, definition 1, the condition of being free, a political independence. B, possession of civil rights. Independence, 1, not governed by a foreign power. 2, free from the influence, guidance, or control of others, self-reliant. We fought in the Revolutionary War to gain freedom and independence from the British. Our system of freedom was designed and safeguarded by the men we call Founding Fathers. It was the idea that people could govern themselves without monarchy or dictatorship. This idea was an experiment in governing since people had never governed themselves in any system before, a revolutionary concept. This special form of freedom was designed so that people could be directly responsible for themselves, their laws, and government. The Constitution was set in place to protect this privilege. We, the people, have a God-given right to pursue happiness and enjoy the fruits of our own labor. Anyone has the right to rise to a higher standard of living by hard work and education under our system of freedom, and we enjoy this privilege more than any other land. A lot of history can be like today's news media, always recording or telling what their agenda calls for, exaggerating what is wrong with our system and what is horrible, never minding to tell what's great and what is awesome, like our system of freedom. The main point for the Millennial Man in this chapter on freedom is as follows. Freedom for the people was and is the intention of our system of governance. But in order for it to work to its full potential for the benefit of all of our people's welfare, and not just leaders, the people themselves have to be directly involved, educated, and trusted. Millennial Men, this is very, very important to the discussion. Of course, when addressing any issue, it is best to be educated on the issues. If I'm not educated on the issues, I cannot be expected to make sound, trusted decisions on the issues. Trust. What in freedom requires us to trust one another? What do we live like in order for trust to be an issue? We need to be able to trust one another, to care about freedom, and be willing to put in work to keep freedom alive and well. If I build a house and barns for a living, a career, I probably cannot properly diagnose a computer problem. It is a general rule that people should be educated on the issues they involve themselves in for the best results. For a we the people government to function properly, we the people should be educated and trusted. We've come to a point where the largeness of government has become a problem for freedom. Also, we the people's lack of concern and education on the issues both contribute to the current threat. Too few people even know the Constitution is the document that was put in place to safeguard our freedom. The people's freedom against a tyrannical government, large, corrupt, and powerful government. We've allowed ourselves to be manipulated into focusing on issues that have no bearing on success as a free people, and they distract us from proper focus. Millennial Man, while we still enjoy some semblance of freedom, we need to take back the hearts and minds of our people. The current education system and the mainstream media are working together with corrupt officials to control the masses by psychological influence, and it is up to us, millennial men, to retain freedom by education and hard work, refocusing the minds of society. Freedom of speech is important because we need to be able to teach real, evident truth and what freedom really is, and when necessary, be able to speak out on corruption within our leadership and government, especially when a lot of governing authorities are becoming what our founders warned us to avoid. If we allow lawmakers to tell us what we can speak on, the next extreme will be to tell people what they can believe in, how to worship, where to live, where we can travel to, and how many children we can have. These are some of the things people are held to in non-free countries by law, even currently. Some don't like when people speak out with opposing views or beliefs. What another man believes does not concern me until it physically infringes on my freedom or my safety. If a man hates my race, so what? His opinions of my race hold no weight or credibility with me. Only when he is threatening the freedom or safety of my race, any race that he hates, can we take action or should take action. Freedom allows him to believe what he wants. A side note, people who hate really never prosper anyway. If we are wasting time and energy by being offended by what another person believes, we are already psychologically oppressed. We've given the hater control over us. Millennial men, we live in a free country with a free system because of society's lack of education and action concerning things that really matter, like leadership issues, success or lack of success in our education system, psychological issues, morality issues, and issues of freedom. That free system is crumbling. The main issue here is freedom is in jeopardy. There are those who believe we enjoy too much freedom, that our freedom is a stumbling block to their ideas of a global system of governance. This one fact is precisely why a lot of our leaders as individuals and our systems of education are not informative on truths concerning freedom and education of the common people. We need systems in leadership enabling all of us to overcome the oppression and psychological slavery that we've fallen victim to. These current leaders and media outlets try to make globalism seem attractive or beneficial. They lie, they deceive, and mislead our populace. They inspire divisive thought and rhetoric in homes and community, then teach perverted ideas to our youths in order to fulfill their own world-dominating ideas and agendas. Millennial men, it is our generation's duty, Generation X and the millennials, to retain freedom. At the very least, be sure we educate and train our youth's minds properly in order for them to learn how to understand and value freedom. Then they will be able to make sound decisions for our future and the future of freedom itself. We must accomplish this concept of thought, logic, truth, and freedom within our own intellect. We are failing if we do not understand how we have come to believe what we have. Have you ever considered closely the term free thinker? A free thinker is not held by tradition, emotions, or confusing beliefs when considering truth. They spend time in thought, and they appreciate freedom. Free thinkers were the orchestrators of our system of freedom. They went against the normal submission to foolish leadership. Any man who ever led a charge against oppressive rulers was a free thinker. Free thinkers are a threat to oppression and slavery. To oppose free thinking is to oppose freedom. It is one thing to be able to think for yourself. It is another thing to teach the practice to others. The practice of free thinking and to encourage others to stand against oppression is slavery. Any look into history will reveal that oppressive rulers have always been against free thinking, wanting to keep thought and education to a minimum. Our founders of freedom wanted to expand education to all, proving their original intent had nothing to do with oppression of mind, body, or spirit, or to control the thoughts and actions of the masses like so many oppressive leaders and rulers throughout history have done. Our founders wanted to be free from oppressive rule, wanted society to be fruitful, and wanted to spread these ideas so that the world could see how well it works and how good life can be when free people work together. These principles are good for all people, but we have once again fallen under an oppressive system, and it is more of a psychological oppression than physical. Millennial men, here is where our leadership, strength, wisdom, and courage is needed. Our people's freedom is in jeopardy. Our freedom is in jeopardy. We need to understand and implement freedom and education for ourselves. We are but fools if we expect to get sound ideas or education from people who capitalize on our oppression and ignorance. Freedom cannot and will not exist without the people being directly involved and responsible for the upholding of our system. Freedom is a beautiful thing and should be available to all people, but it can only succeed by the education of and hard work by the people. We are the only nation that has the freedoms, the people, the power, and the intellect to lead the way to freedom for the rest of the world. Millennial men, let us be the men we were intended to be and leave our mark as have many millennial men in the past. We need to value and understand freedom and make that one of our main points of education, right along with reading, writing, and arithmetic. Why are schools taking these teachings out? There's only one answer. They do not value, appreciate, or respect freedom. Should these people be teaching our children anything? Millennial men, we must stand firm on right and just principles of truth, especially this issue of freedom. Failing to do so is shameful. We must come to a point where we value, appreciate, and respect freedom. It's starting to rain right at the end of the chapter. I hope you enjoyed